We're going to be talking about the main dining room today on Disney Cruise Line. I'm really excited about this video because there are a lot of untruths, rumors, myths, sort of, about the main dining room on Disney Cruise Line. So I want to talk about that today. I'm going to talk about the different dining rooms and the booking process and the two seatings for dinner, what you can and can't order, because people will tell you that you can order anything, which is sort of true, but not exactly 100% accurate all the time. So first, I want to get into a thank you, because today is a really exciting day. I'm filming this on Friday, May 15th. I'm really excited because I just reached 500 subscribers here on YouTube. I am so happy. Thank you everybody who is here, who is subscribed. I am so grateful to everybody who's here and watching the videos. I'm trying to help you guys plan for future cruises and future Disney vacations, and I'm so excited to have you all here. Also today, my friend Justine from here on YouTube posted a video about traveling to Disneyland with young kids, like babies and toddlers, and you know, it's like a tips video, and it's so helpful. I don't have children. If you are looking for a tips video about traveling with little kids to Disneyland or Disney World, go watch that video. I'll link her channel and that video down below. She's awesome. I think she's got some great content, so go check her channel out. But now we're gonna get into the main dining room. So if you've cruised with Disney before, then you know the basics about the main dining room. Disney Cruise Line is different from every other cruise line because it has what's called rotational dining. When you are booking your cruise, they will have you pick like main seating or second seating, and the main seating is at 5:45 and the second seating is at 8:15, and that just means when you go to your assigned restaurant for that night, and that's when your meal will start. So if you think 5:45 is really early, then maybe go to the second seating. There are pros and cons to each one. The main dining is great for people with young kids, and the second seating is really great for people who like to have a slower, less rushed experience, a quieter experience. The main dining tends to be where a lot of parents with little kids will go. So if that's important to you, if you've got young kids and you want them to be in bed by 8 o'clock, then maybe think about doing the main dining. So talking about when you're booking your cruise and picking your seating, if you have a party that's in more than one stateroom and you link your reservations, you should be seated together. If you do not have linked reservations but you want to sit with somebody else, always call Disney Cruise Line and submit that request early. Try to ask for your parties to be seated together. You can always ask for a specific type of table. In the Royal Court and Royal Palace restaurants on the Dream and the Fantasy, there are tables with booths, and I know that some kids really like booths. If you are going to be in Tiana's Place or Rapunzel's Royal Table, you can always request a table near the stage, but just think about submitting those requests early, because the earlier you get them in, they kind of prioritize the list by the order the request is submitted in, so you've got a greater chance of them granting your request if you submit it early. When you fill out your online check-in, always try to tell them if you've got any allergies, if you've got any dietary restrictions. It's important for them to know that in advance, and they will also ask you the first night. So just, when they ask you, don't be upset. They already know, but they just want to be sure that they know everything. So if you're allergic to peanuts, you need to tell them that. All right, starting to get into when you get on board the ship. Currently there are 4 Disney ships sailing. There are 3 main dining restaurants on every ship right now. So every single ship has Animator's Palette, but the Animator's Palette on the Magic and the Wonder is different, vastly different from the Animator's Palette on the Dream and the Fantasy. The biggest difference between the restaurants on the Magic and the Wonder and the Dream and the Fantasy is the size. The Dream and the Fantasy are the bigger ships, so the main dining rooms are much larger. On the Dream and the Fantasy, you have Enchanted Garden, Animator's Palette, and then what I call the centerpiece restaurant, which is Royal Court or Royal Palace. And these are abbreviated EG for Enchanted Garden, AP for Animator's Palette, and RP or RC for Royal Court or Royal Palace. The 3 restaurants on the Wonder are Tiana's Place, Animator's Palette, and Triton's, which is the centerpiece restaurant on the Wonder. On the Magic, the centerpiece is Lumiere's. You also have Animator's Palette and Rapunzel's Royal Table. A fun fact about all the restaurants on all the ships, every restaurant but the Animator's Palettes, all 4 Animator's Palettes do not have windows. There are no windows in Animator's Palette because there are like TV screens all over the walls. The experience is different on the smaller ships versus the bigger ships. I'm not going to spoil any secrets right now, but there are no windows in Animator's Palette. Tiana's Place has a Cajun kind of theme. We all know that the Princess and the Frog movie was set in New Orleans, and so the restaurant kind of leans into that theme, but that doesn't mean necessarily that you won't find something to eat there that you won't like. Don't worry about it. They're gonna have food that you'll like. Usually when you go to a restaurant, there is a restroom inside the restaurant. None of the restaurants on Disney Cruise Line have a restroom inside the restaurant. All of the restrooms on Disney Cruise Line are outside the restaurant, kind of near the restaurant. When you are given your Key to the World card at check-in, your Key to the World card, and I've shown this in my Key to the World card video, but it will show you your dining time and your dining rotation. So sometimes it will just show you the 3 restaurants and you just repeat, repeat, repeat. And sometimes it will, if you're on a 3-night, it's just those 3 restaurants in that order. If you're on a 4-night, it will be those 4 letters or 4 combinations of letters. If it's a 7-night, it will show you all 7 nights. But if you are on the ship for more, if you're on the ship for like a Panama Canal cruise, it will just be 3 letters or 3 sets of letters, and you will repeat for the number of cruises. And that is your dining rotation. The first set of letters that's on your Key to the World card is the first restaurant you go to on the first night. And the dining time, the seating, is the time that you will show up to dinner. So let's get into the arrival process. So when you show up to dinner, sometimes, like if your dinner time is 8:15 and you're there and there's a crowd of people trying to get into the restaurant, what's happening is they're, especially on the first 3 nights of the cruise, when nobody knows where their table is, when you show up, they will hand you a hand wipe because they want you to wipe your hands off for sanitary reasons. And then when you walk further into the restaurant, there will be cast members, servers, assistant servers escorting you to your table. Be sure to have your Key to the World card out so they can see your table number because they need to know where they're taking you. And sometimes, second night or third night, your server will recognize you and will take you, and they don't need to know your table number because they will already know who you are and where you're supposed to be. And that's really cool. On longer cruises, like 7-night cruises, the second time you've been to that restaurant, they will still escort you if you need to be, escorted there. They will always carry your beverage. If you walk up with a drink, they will take it away from you and carry it on a tray so you don't spill. But on cruises where you've been to that restaurant before and so you know where your seat is, you can always just walk yourself there. But on the first night you've been there, they don't really want you wandering around the restaurant, so they're going to take you there so you can get to your seat and sit down and start the ordering process. In my gratuities video, and I'll talk more about gratuities later, there are 3 people in the dining room that will enhance your dining experience. You will have your server and assistant server, and the server is the one who is supposed to serve you food and take your order. The assistant server really does more drink duties, but sometimes it can be really confusing because sometimes they will take over for each other if they're busy with another table, because you share a server and assistant server with several other tables, which is normal, right? You will also have a head server, and I think there's 2 of these in each dining room, but what happens is they kind of oversee the entire dining room and make sure that everybody's having an excellent experience. So they're sort of the dining room managers, is the head server. You may or may not interact with them very much. When you're seated at your table the first time, you may find like a trifold card advertising a wine package. And if this is something you're interested in, what happens with the wine package is they don't give you the wine. You order the wine and they will serve it to you. They keep it, you know, with the wine behind the counter, and then at the end of the cruise, if you haven't drank all the wine, you get to take home what's left, the sealed bottles. If all your bottles are open, you don't get to take any home, but you will get to take sealed bottles of wine home with you if there is any left at the end. Of course, this wine is an extra cost. Most of the main dining room experience is no extra charge. The only things that you will pay extra for in the main dining room are alcoholic beverages or non-alcoholic drinks of the day, or the specialty non-alcoholic beverages on the menu. Okay, if you are in the second dining and you have small children that are in the Oceaneer Club level program, the Oceaneer Club and Lab, there's a program called Dine and Play, and you sign up and you basically tell your server the first night that you want to participate in the Dine and Play. They will bring your child's meal early, so they get to eat first, and then the Oceaneer Club cast members will come and pick up your children to be able to take them back to the kids club, which is great because then the parents get to enjoy a leisurely meal, and then you can go hang out in the adult area for a while, or have some one-on-one time or alone time without your kids. They just ask that you pick up your child before 1 a.m. If you like that and want to participate in it, cool. You always have the option not to, and if you want to take your own kids after dinner to the kids program, you totally can. But it's just an easy way to get your kids from dinner to the program if you think they're going to get bored sitting in dinner for a long time. For some people, the most exciting part of cruising is the food, and I will not deny that it is one of the things I look forward to the most about Disney cruising. So I want to start here by telling you that yes, you can order anything, but there's a caveat here, okay? You can order anything, but you cannot order it anytime. If you have a love for the bread that they served last night in Lumiere's and you want it tonight, you may or may not be able to get it. What happens with the main dining, rotational dining, is the first 3 nights of your cruise, Triton serves the same menu. Okay, so there are 3 dining rotations. Tritons will serve Group A this menu tonight, Group B this menu tomorrow night, and Group C the menu on the 3rd night. On the 4th night, the menu is different. And on Pirate Night, everybody in every restaurant eats the same menu, which means that the kitchens are not making the menu that was served the other nights. If you have something on the first night that you know you want to have every night, tell them that first night, I would really like to have this again tomorrow. You can ask for anything, but your chance of getting it, if you ask for it the night of, your chance of getting it is very low. So always think about the logistics of them making you something special. So if you've got special food items that you want to have every night, there's nothing wrong with writing down what you want and giving it to them at the beginning of the cruise and saying, this is what I want to have for dinner every night of the cruise. You could ask for something the night before, but if you ask for it the night of, they're probably just going to tell you that it's not possible, you know? So if it's night 1 and you want something from this restaurant again tomorrow and the 3rd night, it's not impossible. But keep in mind that you may be in Tiana's place and getting food from Triton's is going to be coming from a different kitchen. So your server or assistant server is going to have to make the trek around the ship to go get this special food for you, and try to reflect that in your tip if you do have special requests like that. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but it is extra work for them, extra time, extra effort on their part. People will tell you that you can order as many as you want, as much as you want, and they're right. Now, don't be absurd and order one of everything, but if you know you really like the deep fried brie, go ahead and get 2. If you have never tried the escargot before, now is the time to do it. But if you don't want to have just that and you want something else that you will like that you have more confidence that you will like, then order that in addition. There's nothing wrong with ordering more than one, and if you really, really enjoy something, you can always ask for two. If you want to substitute a side, you can. The worst they're going to say is no, but most likely they want you to have an excellent experience. So be polite to them. They're going to do their best for you. They're going to try to enhance your experience. They want you to have a good time, and they want you to enjoy the food, because that's part of cruising. Just, you know, be reasonable about it. If there's going to be a birthday on your cruise, you can go to guest services and order a birthday cake to be delivered to your table at dinner on a specific day. So if your birthday is debarkation day, but you want to have it 2 nights before when you're celebrating, if you want to have it in a specific restaurant, you totally can. It's an extra charge, but you always have that option. Go to guest services and ask them if you can order a birthday cake. There are options too. On the larger ships like the Dream and the Fantasy, I believe it's on both of them. At least there used to be a ice cream challenge. I think it was Ralph's Family Challenge, and it might just be on the Dream. But it's like the big like trophy cup filled with ice cream, and you can have that delivered to your table in the main dining room for dinner, or, you know, for dessert after dinner, if you want to participate in the family challenge. Of course, that ice cream is an extra charge. Kids menus. Kids menus can be really fun on the ship. They're interactive, so they've got like the word search or the maze or connect the dots, but they've always got a game. Sometimes they're really special, like the kids menu in the Rapunzel restaurant turns into a lantern. So it rolls up into like a long, you know, the lanterns that they release. It's really cool. On Pirate Night, the menus turn into hats that you can actually, like 3D hats you can actually wear, and that's really cool. And they're still interactive. They've got the activities on them. And if you're an adult and you don't want to eat off of the adult menu, you don't have to. You can always request a kids menu. There is nothing wrong with that. No shame in that. If you want mac and cheese, you go for it. The main dining rooms, main dining restaurants are open for other meals also, but it may not be widely known. So every night you have an assigned restaurant for dinner. That means that you are on your own for breakfast and lunch. There is usually one main dining restaurant open for breakfast every day of your cruise. Sometimes on longer cruises they'll have they call it brunch, and it's open like 9 to 11. When the main dining room is open for breakfast, I think it's 8 a.m. or 7:30 a.m., kind of depending on when the ship is supposed to be in port, because they want you to be able to have breakfast before you get off, because they want to feed you. They don't want you to go off the ship hungry. But the restaurants that are open for breakfast, it's usually never Animator's Palette. Animator's Palette will be open for character breakfast, but if there's no character breakfast, it's not open for breakfast, because they will have frozen meet and greets in there. The Centerpiece restaurant tends to be the one that's open for breakfast or brunch, and is also open for lunch. And so they will have different hours. You just have to check the paper navigator, or ask your server at dinner, you know, where's breakfast tomorrow. Sometimes they'll tell you, which is really cool, and you don't have to ask. You know, if you've got a really great server, usually I do, and so they want to talk to us and tell us everything. I always like to ask them, where are you going to be tomorrow? Because if they are going to be in Cabanas for breakfast, I will go and I'll look for them. If they tell me they're going to be in the main dining room for breakfast, I will go and have breakfast there. And when I check in, I will ask for my server, like, is Edwin working today? And, you know, does he have a table open? And it's really cool because you get to build more on that relationship with that server. Okay, back to gratuities. So the 3 people in the dining room will automatically accrue gratuities. You can prepay these before you ever go on your cruise. You can pay them on board. They will automatically be charged to your onboard account. You can add more. I think that if you take money away from them, you're just being mean. Most of the time, I like to tip them extra if they go the extra mile. If I order food, you know, special item from another restaurant, or a special meal, or I ask for something that's, you know, causing them extra work, I will always tip them extra, because it's more work for them and they don't get anything from me unless I tip them more. Also, so on the last day, they will serve you breakfast before they boot you off the ship. The very last night, you will have dinner in a main dining restaurant. And wherever that assigned restaurant is, if you were assigned to have dinner in Lumiere's on the last night, that is where you will return for breakfast the next day. So it is the only breakfast that you are assigned a table and a place and a time. So you will have, like if you're second seating, you will have a later breakfast. If you are first seating, you will have an early breakfast. And they kind of did this because they want to feed everybody, but also because they want to kind of stagger the people who are getting off the ship. The first people to get off the ship will be the people who have done the walk-off, the express walk-off, and they take their own luggage off the ship. If you set your luggage out the night before, you can go to breakfast, and by the time you're done with breakfast, your luggage should be ready to be picked up in the port by you, and then you go through customs yourself with your luggage, or you can get a porter to help you. But breakfast on the last day is the only time you will have an assigned time and place for breakfast. If you're unhappy for any reason, talk to your head server and see what he can do for you. He might be able to move you to another table, another restaurant, another dining time. So just don't be unhappy. Ask for help and they will do everything they can. But they don't know that there's an issue unless you tell them. So always tell them that, you know, you want something or you need something or they're doing something that you don't like. They want you to have a good experience. So you have to speak up because they're working for you. I think that's all I've got to say about the main dining room. I've got my notes here, my pad folio, but I think that's everything I've got to say about the main dining room. If you have any questions, I know this is really confusing. The rotational dining, the first time we cruised, really threw us off. So like we had no idea what to expect before we went. And then after we went the first time, we felt like we got the hang of it. But sometimes it can be really complicated. It doesn't have to be, but some people don't explain it really well, and maybe I didn't either. But if you are still confused, leave a comment in the comments down below, leave a question. I will be glad to answer any questions that you have. You'll see me really soon. Bye everybody.